Welcome to Soccer As We Like It, the Man United direction. Today we're honoured and privileged to be in the presence of a United legend. He was a member of the 1967 title-winning team, a member of the 1968 European Cup winning team, being the first English team to win the European Cup in 1968. He was also a member of the team that won the 1977 FA Cup, defeating Liverpool and stopping Liverpool from winning the treble. Please welcome Mr. Alex Stepney.
Hi, how you doing? Very pleased to meet you.
Welcome to the show. Mr. Stepney,
Yeah.
being a Londoner, what was it like back in those days from a Londoner going all the way up north? What was the attraction back in that day?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I started my career at Millwall.
Yes.
I had 3 great years there, got under 23 caps and playing in the 3rd division. I wanted to obviously play 1st division football. I had the chance to go to West Ham, but West Ham and Millwall didn't get on.
Oh, definitely. East or west? East.
And so out of the blue, Mr. Tommy Doherty, who was manager of Chelsea, came in for me. I didn't want to join Chelsea for the simple reason they had a goalkeeper called Peter Bonetti, who was fans' favourite at Chelsea. But Tommy said that Peter wants to leave and he was going to sell him to West Ham. So I actually thought, well, that's on. So I signed for Chelsea, and unfortunately certain things happened and Peter didn't go.
Right.
This was in May 1966, end of the season. At the start of the 66-67 season, I played 1 game in the reserves at Chelsea because Peter Bonetti was put in the first team. He got injured after, I think, 3 games, and I played at Southampton for Chelsea. We won 3-0 down at the old Dell, and on the Monday morning, something incredible happened for me.
Oh, wow. Share it.
I'm going to share it with you now because Tommy Doherty, after training, said, get in my car.
Okay.
I said, where are we going? He said, you'll find out, just wait and see. And
Okay.
he took me to the White House Hotel near Euston Station.
Back in the day. Right.
And I'm sat there, you know, and I said, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And he said, you'll find out. And then within 5 minutes,
Right.
the revolving doors turned. And Matt Busby walked through.
Son Matt.
Matt as he was then.
Wow.
All right?
Wow.
Matt and Jimmy Murphy.
Oh,
His
okay.
assistant. And because I realised I'm being transferred.
Wow.
And I honestly, I thought, my God. But the funny thing was, Matt went to Tommy and he said, you come with me, because that's how they were doing the deal.
Back in the day.
Jimmy Murphy took me to his room, tried to sell me playing with George Best, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, Pat Kern, David Sadler, David Hurd, Tony Dunn. I mean, an impossible job for him to do because I was ready to sign
Immediately.
So anyway, that's how it happened, and because I went north. I mean, the following day, I mean, not like today. There was no fax machines. There was nothing like that. There was no, you know. So I had to go and sign up at Old Trafford, and I did on the Tuesday.
Right. When you got into that team and Matt welcomed you, considering Matt had lost the team in '58 and he was rebuilding, did you feel pressure, like you had to work hard to make sure you fit into this team?
Well, what I couldn't understand was there was 3 goalkeepers still at Old Trafford for United.
Oh, wow.
There was Harry Gregg, who, fair dues to Harry. I mean, Harry knew that he was coming to the end of his career because he was obviously 10 years older than me, basically. There was David Gaskell, who played in the 1963 FA Cup final, and there was Pat Dunn, who won a championship medal a year before,
Right.
in '65. So I'm thinking,
Where are you going to fit?
where am I? But
Why do they need you?
But straight away, I realised what happened because the first 5 games of the season, United had been conceding goals.
Okay.
So I was put in straight away. My first game at Old Trafford for the club, Derby game,
Right.
Man City.
Wow. Old Trafford
Old
sold
Trafford.
out.
Sold
Maxed.
out. Absolutely sold out. And we win 1-0.
Wow. How much pressure did you feel that day?
Well-
Your debut, biggest club, all the way from London, in North England, with Manchester United, Derby. Wow.
I've got to be very honest, I couldn't have been welcomed any better, not only by the supporters, but for my teammates.
Right.
Because that happened for one simple reason, that Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy have built a family of respect. And whoever came into that club, you were treated with respect.
Nice, very
and
nice.
that's why we had a team that was going to win things.
Right. So your first season in 66, 67 season, you won the title.
Yeah.
How challenging was it like? You know, when winning the title, being in the championship winning team, I mean, it's like, wow, right into it.
Yeah, the situation was, we had a good run. I had a good run to start. I think up to Christmas, we only lost one game.
Right.
And that was away to Notts Forest, who were top of the league, actually.
I saw.
But we had a good run. And when you go on a run like that, confidence builds.
The momentum's
but
going.
Everything's going. And then we got beat, I think, on Boxing Day by Aston Villa at Villa. But that was the only 2 games that I played in. The 35 games I think I played that season. The only 2 games that we lost.
Oh, wow.
You know,
So you were on form.
in the league. and I can't remember how many goals I let in. It wasn't many, but the fact was that at the end of the season, we were there with a chance for the title, and we took it at West Ham. Funny enough.
Right. Because you were ahead of Nottingham Forest at the final end of the season.
That's right. Well, what happened was we drew at Sunderland 0-0, which was a very hard game to play in those days. Going to the northeast, we had 2 games left. We had to win one to win the title. And we had West Ham away, and we had
Never
Stoke
easy
at home.
place to go, is it?
We went to West Ham, and we won 6-1.
Oh,
So
you literally just want to humiliate them, right? That was a lot.
We won 6-1, and because we won the title, and because the last game of the season was the presentation of the trophy, and we played Stoke at the last game of the season at Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford.
Which
presentation of the trophy, champions.
Absolutely incredible.
And that's your first season.
My very first season. But while I was there in that season, I learnt a lot. I learnt a lot about the history of the club. Right. I mean, I knew about Munich. I was just in my last year at school, and I cried. I cried when I heard about Munich. So did a lot of people in South London, Mitcham, where I came from, were doing it. Football supporters, not
definitely, definitely.
But the thing was, I knew that nothing should ever be said about Munich. It was never mentioned.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was it out of respect?
Well, no, I don't think it was out of respect. It was out of. It seemed to be, no, you don't bring that up.
Wow.
And you knew that, and I didn't. But the thing was, I knew how desperate every player in my team I was playing with wanted to win the European Cup. To put what happened 10 years earlier. Yeah. And to do that, you've got to win the league.
Oh, definitely.
Only one team going through. And we've done it, and it was the start of an amazing another year.
So your first season, you win the league title. Your second season, you now represent England in the European Cup. Because back in those days, it was only one winner. There was only the winner of the league that won the European Cup.
Absolutely.
How was your preparation for the European Cup? Now you're meeting more elite teams than the English teams.
Well, the actual thing about it was, our league form, that's your bread and butter. That's what you've got to keep going at.
Right.
But you can't wait to see who you're drawn against, even in the first round.
Definitely.
And there's always a chance of getting a team that possibly it might be an easy way through.
Definitely.
We were very fortunate. We came up against probably one of the easiest teams who had, Hibernian of Malta. Now, Malta has probably one of the biggest Manchester United supporters club in the world. It was incredible. And we won 4-0 at home in the first leg. we go to Malta, and the streets are lined. It was like
With Man United.
I mean, to go from the airport to the hotel, it was
Like you were the home team.
but it was like being a royal because it was
Right.
crowds in the street cheering you. Because then, I don't know. I've got to say, you have to realise that the pitches we had to play on was concrete.
Concrete, as in concrete.
Concrete with sand on it.
What?
Yeah, and there's no grass.
What happened? I mean, they didn't
That's
do
what they
pitching
play-
specials back in the day.
No, that's what they played on out there.
Oh, God.
And
Injuries? That's dangerous.
well,
That's
I mean,
illegal.
I think that was the very first time that I ever wore tracksuit bottoms.
Oh,
Really
my
got-
word.
you know.
That's- what?
But that was it. That was the first game. So we got through.
Right.
And then the second game, you're now looking for your next. Who you're going to
Definitely.
get drawn against? We drew Sarajevo from Yugoslavia.
Right.
And Yugoslavia was Yugoslavia. And because of Munich, and what happened, because it was a charter flight,
Definitely.
right? The club, no.
No.
It's got to be a scheduled flight, but there was no scheduled flights to Sarajevo.
Stoppages.
So we had to. We got a scheduled flight to Dubrovnik, and we had an 8-hour coach journey from Dubrovnik through past Split and through the mountains into Sarajevo. But this. I mean, that wouldn't happen today.
No.
You know,
Everything's
the players
flying.
of today wouldn't get.
They wouldn't even
that.
accept
But
it.
this is our job, and you accepted it.
Yeah.
And because we came up against a very good team actually, but we got away with 0-0.
Yeah, nice. Bring
And
it back to Old Trafford.
that was Matt Busby's always thought about Europe. If you can draw your away game and you win your home game, you're through. If you don't win your home game, you don't deserve to go through. That was his.
Definitely. I completely agree.
And of course, we came back and we beat them 2-1 at Old Trafford, and now we're in the quarterfinals.
So
Who are we playing?
The draw's now opening up now. You're now
Right,
seeing clearer.
Now you've got teams that are well known. And then up comes Górnik, is a breeze, of Poland.
Okay, the Polish.
Okay, no problem. We flew to Krakow. We played them at home first. We beat them 2-0. We scored a late goal actually to make it 2-0 at home. We flew to Krakow. We were playing in a stadium of 105,000 people in it. Just a bowl. It was 16 below.
Freezing.
And 6 inches of snow on the pitch. Which
It's
has been-
like they played on
They
anything
wouldn't-
playable.
They wouldn't play today like that because health and safety comes
This is
in.
what I'm saying. Was there any health and safety back in the day?
No, nothing like that at all.
Take it as it is.
It's your job. You go and do it. Wow. Because they'd flattened it down basically, and anyway, we were up against it. Obviously, you can imagine what it was like. But eventually, we got beat right near the end, 1-0.
1-0.
But we got through.
You got through.
Now we're in the semi-final.
Semis.
Now there's 4 teams in the semi-final. Obviously, us, Benfica, Real Madrid, Juventus.
Who would you have picked at the time if you had a choice?
I wouldn't have picked Real Madrid. I would have picked.
Who was the weakest at that bunch at the
I
time?
would have thought, well, Juventus, we've got a chance,
Right.
you know. But the draw didn't go our way. We've got drawn against Real Madrid. So, fortunately, I've got to say fortunately, we were at home.
First leg.
And we played excellent, but they defended very well. But we won 1-0. I mean, George Best scored with an unbelievable left foot volley from a Johnny Aston cross, and we went to the Bernabeu.
With a slender 1-0 lead.
But we said to ourselves, we were confident if we can keep it to 0-0 at half time, we could have a chance.
Right. Did they go
30
according to
minutes?
plan?
30 minutes 0-0.
Okay, it's still looking good. It was looking good.
Half time, 3-1 to Real Madrid. Hento had scored a man.
You were 3-1 down.
3-1 down.
Ouch. Oops.
3-1 down.
Now you got a mountain.
Mountain.
You're heading out at that point.
They were. There was 130,000 in the stadium, screaming Spanish.
Oh, crowd.
We hadn't played. They were brilliant. They were brilliant. And we went in that dressing room looking for inspiration from the great man.
Right.
And he never said anything. He tutored every one of us as we went in. He never said a word.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
No throwing chairs or screaming?
No, none of that. It was, and we only had 10 minutes. That's all we had in those days.
Oh, 10? Sure.
Yeah. And we sat there, and of course, with him not saying anything, our heads dropped.
As in, where's the encouragement? Where's the motivation coming?
It came in when he stood up with about 2 or 3 minutes to go before the bell went, and started laughing at us.
Laughing?
Laughing.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is man management.
He's going into your head.
Yeah. What are you doing? This is, come on, this is a semi-final of the world, of the European.
And you're 3-1 down, about to get knocked out.
Yeah, you know, you should be out there enjoying yourself and attacking the team. You haven't done that for 45 minutes. Go out and enjoy yourself. Wow. And the bell went.
Bing.
And as we went out, he said, "Oh, just remember, it's 3-2 on aggregate. If you get an early goal, you'll win the game."
Okay.
And of course,
so he needed 1 goal to get into the finals.
Yeah, because the away goals didn't count in those days. There was none of that. And of course, what happened was David Sadler scored, I think, after 10 minutes.
Oh, 3-2.
Now it's 3-3 on aggregate.
Right, with the 1 goal from Old Trafford, yes.
Okay. And then George Best, near the end, goes on one of his mazy runs where he beats player after player after player on the right wing. Bill Fawkes, survivor from centre half.
What was he doing out there?
He's run from our penalty box to their penalty, unmarked. Well,
wow.
He would be.
Because they're all concentrated on George.
But no one's ever seen him there before.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how on earth did he get all that far?
He just ran, no one bothered about him. And George passed the ball to him, and he side-foots the ball in the back of the net.
I bet he didn't even believe he was there. No. He just ran, just kept moving.
Yeah, but the thing about it, unfortunately, Dennis Law was injured, and Bobby became captain.
Right.
So Bobby, survivor from Munich, is captain of the team. Bill Fawkes, the other survivor from Munich, puts us in the final. Bang.
Now.
And we're playing Benfica.
Benfica in the final. Who were one of the dreaded teams back in Europe back in the late 60s? Because they always seem to be going to the finals.
Well, they were. I mean, but they were a good team. They had a great player called S.A.W.L.I-The.
Yes.
I mean, S.A.W.L.I. I actually looked up his record recently. And I think, if I'm right in saying, he played somewhere in the region of 727 games for Benfica and scored 750 odd goals.
Wow, that's like a goal a game. That's absolutely like a goal a game. And that's back in the day.
That's right.
What?
And what was Matt going to do? I mean,
how do you stop him?
Well, we had one great player.
And it was one game, no 2 legs. This is one game.
One game,
final.
Wembley Stadium.
Wembley Stadium.
And as we went down that tunnel, as we went out the dressing room into the tunnel at Wembley, Matt just got hold of Nobby Stiles and said, "Nobby, I want you to mark your saviour man for man like you did 2 years ago in the semi-final of the World Cup against Portugal." And he did.
He did it.
And, well, he done it for 86 minutes, to be honest.
Then 4 minutes left.
Because Eusebio broke through and I had to make a save against him to keep us in the tie at 1-1, which happened. And obviously then we went into extra time. And within, 5 minutes, we're winning 4-1.
Yeah, that game was bizarre. When I saw pictures, it was daytime. It started like in daytime.
It was night. It was 7:30 kickoff in the evening.
Right.
I think it was probably about 90 degrees in the stadium because it was May the 29th, and 100,000 fans there.
There was one incident where I still want to clarify that. There was a time Eusebio was trying to applaud you, but it's like you ignored him or you didn't have time for him. Like, no, listen, I've got a job to do. You could keep shaking I'm not in the mood.
You couldn't have put that better because for the simple reason was in those days there was no clocks. There was no clocks in the stadiums.
No? So you couldn't see?
We didn't know how long there was. Luckily for me, being at the back, I could try and get some signals from the bench. To say how long, and they would go 10, 5, that's how it was. And I knew that there wasn't long left. So when he got through, and actually, I mean, the power of his shot was
I heard he could shoot.
Unbelievable. How I caught it, I don't know, I've got to say. It got in his chest and I held it, and the pace of the ball knocked me over.
Oh, wow.
And I got to the floor and I got up. And because I knew there wasn't long left and it's
Right.
1-1, I wanted to start a counter-attack.
Oh, counter-attack.
And out of the corner of my eye, I saw Tony Dunn, my left fullback. Because
Making
whenever
it
I
right.
got the ball, my fullbacks would go wide.
Right, taking
And
positions
I,
up.
Boom, I threw it straight away. Not knowing that here is Eusebio
Standing right in front of you.
applauding me. You see?
That would be so funny.
And because when I done that and turned around, he's there, and I wondered what he was doing.
Because you ignored him. You kind of ignored him.
I'm sorry, you know,
Yeah,
I
like
was
that.
done with the game.
Because he went back, came back, and you were like...
Yeah, that was it. And of course, then we went into extra time.
So you've gone to Manchester United. Your first season, you won the league title. Your second season, you're now champions of Europe. So being a champion of England, champions of Europe in 2 years, like you must be thinking it can't get any better.
Well, it couldn't get any better.
I mean, think about it. I mean, well, it's not rare. It's not easy for a player to just leave one part of London to above England.
And not
just
only that,
be so successful. So
coming
quick.
from IE the season before,
Right.
playing in the third division,
Oh, wow.
you know, with Millwall.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
we won promotion to the second division that year, but in 1 year or 2 years, basically, I've gone from sort of the second division or up here
to the Kings of Europe.
Yeah, Kings of Europe. I mean, and from 50 years ago, Manchester United fans have been thanking me, which is incredible.
So you've won the league title, you've won the Champions, you've won the European Cup. That night must have been an incredible night that you can never ever forget.
Well, no, you can't forget it because what happened when you received the trophy, or Bobby received the trophy, I was behind him, and you know you've got to do a lap of one. I mean, the atmosphere in Wembley. I mean, no disrespect to Benfica fans, there was probably out of the 100,000, there was 95,000 Manchester United supporters, and you can imagine no one's gone.
No.
And
Trophy
the
presentation.
noise
could
as we
imagine.
ran round the track with that trophy was just, I mean, it's surreal. It never leaves you.
Right.
You know, and because we get in the dressing room afterwards and the champagne's flowing, etc., pop in and everything. But this might sound a bit silly, really, but there was a sad occurrence for us.
Oh wow.
For me, for Bobby, and for Nobby, because Alf Ramsey walked into the dressing room, who was manager of
England that time.
at the time, and we were in the squad to go the next day, Thursday morning, to play against West Germany in Hanover, and then on to the Nations Cup in Italy.
Right.
And that meant really that we were not coming home with the team. We were going to miss the homecoming.
Right. The parade and all that.
We missed it. We completely missed. But
Couldn't you guys couldn't it be arranged whereby you go after the
no,
parade?
no, not with the FA. That was impossible. So we knew, and because Alf was a very strict man. He was a great guy, but he did say, right, Bobby, Alex, and Nobby, after your reception back at the Russell Hotel in London, Russell Square, I expect you to have an early night because we leave very early.
An early night. Oh, come on.
Right,
You can't even enjoy that moment, savor the moment.
Well, Bobby was absolutely overcome with emotion. Of course, it was 10 years after Munich,
Right.
etc. Nobby and I, well, we looked at each other after the dinner and the reception, and what should we do? Well,
Take the
okay,
call
with the
of
wives, there's only one place to go. Danny LaRue's club in the centre of London to have a few glasses of champagne.
Might as well.
And that's what we did. And then, like I said, off we went with England. And but when we came back 3 or 4 weeks later, we'd missed that homecoming. But there was nothing, even in Germany, because there was no Sky Sports in those days. There was nothing. So
What channels used to show those games back in the day?
just BBC and ITV.
that was it.
I mean, I think possibly because it was a European Cup final and an English team was in the final, that BBC and ITV, I think, covered it both themselves.
Right.
But apart from that, you wouldn't know me about anything.
We'll take our first commercial break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Soccer as we like it, the Man United Direction with Mr. Alex Stepney. Well, welcome back to Soccer As We Like It, the Manutd show. We are still with Mr. Alex Stepney, and we are ready to continue. Mr. Stepney, why was Matt so dead? Why did he really want that European Cup? I mean, it wasn't like a lot of English teams really wanted to play the European Cup. Why was he so eager that he needed to win? He wanted United to be on the map.
Well, I think the main thing back in the 50s,
Right.
Was that there was an opening for teams, European teams, to play against each other.
Okay.
And the trouble was at the time that because the FA and the Football League were so everything had to run by the book, they didn't want any changes or being done by anybody else.
Right.
But Matt saw that opening in a way that this is the way ahead. This is the way ahead, not only for Manchester United, but for other teams as well.
Okay.
And he set out against all odds.
I noticed he was determined.
He was so determined, but they didn't like it, but he didn't bother about them because he knew that eventually, by taking on this challenge, that Manchester United will become a bigger club.
Right.
And that's what he was. That's what he wanted. And that's why he wanted to win the European Cup so much. Yeah.
To earn that respect globally and European-wise and English-wise, to be champions.
Yeah, I mean that's why he went in, and because around that time, let's be honest. I mean, Real Madrid had been the team. They won it 5 years on the bounce.
Well, how many teams were taking part in that tournament back in the day? Because it looked like it was only them turning up.
Well, that's right. I couldn't. Well, how many countries were in Europe in those days?
Exactly. So they were just like, it's like they saw an opening and just like, right, let's just.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, and I was talking about this the other day, is that for us to win it when we did, we played 9 matches. Okay.
Oh, I see.
But even to win it today, right? With a group stage and quarterfinals, there's 13 games. So there's only 4 games difference.
Right.
But the way they do it now, there's a lot more money involved for clubs and what's the name. It's just...
When they have so many teams in it these days,
Exactly.
You have second, third and fourth. Back in the day, I thought it had more elegance and sophistication to the tournament because it was only the winner around Europe qualified for that.
Exactly. But because the way the game has changed, the countries have changed, the things that have gone on. I mean, there's so many more countries in Europe now, and we have to accept that. I mean, that's part of it. Everything moves on.
Definitely.
Everything moves on. But Matt, at last, got what he wanted.
I can see.
And through really going through a very bad experience.
Yes, with 58 Munich disaster.
58, but what manager, when there wasn't the money around like there is today, could create another team and win it in 10 years? Fantastic story.
Even getting through the mental and emotional.
Well, that's right.
And start building up. Because a lot of people, because I heard he wasn't, the injuries he suffered at Munich in 58, he just still pushed himself to carry on.
Well, when I joined the club 8 years later, he used to train with us, and it was a different environment as it is today. But we were all in one big shower room or bathroom, and you could actually see the injuries that had taken place with his body, from the crash. And of course, once we'd won it, I think that was. He could sit back and say, "Right,
he's achieved
I've done it. I've done it now," and he was made, obviously, knighted.
Definitely.
Freedom of Manchester and everywhere, and he was more sort of asked to do things here, there, and everywhere, and he realised, well, I can't do both jobs at once. I've done my job over there. I've done that job. I've won it. Let me just retire gracefully. And that's what he did.
That's the best. Right. With the 3 guys you played with, Charlton, Lauren, Best, how good were they at that time?
Well, I think it's very. I think it's quite simple, Tim. There's not been one team
To have such great.
to have three European footballers in a year
in
the
the
same
same
year
team.
in the same team for 7 years.
That's true, you know.
There's never, and they were all different.
Right.
They were all different. I mean, Bobby was
A midfielder, right? He was a midfielder.
But he was more of a midfielder.
Attacking.
But he would score goals from 25
I
yards, 30
saw
yards.
some of his footage.
Unbelievable. Then you had George,
The
who
Mr.
would,
Dribbler.
who would beat 6 or 7 players, and
He never liked passing, did he?
he didn't really like passing. And well, Bobby always says, you know, he made so many runs at certain stages when George was on a run, and shouted to him to give him the ball.
Release it, pass.
But then he said, "What a great goal!" Because George would put the ball in the back of the net.
What did Sal Matt always say about it? Did he talk to him about, you know, be a team player, even though he'll score an individual brilliant goal?
No, it wasn't like that. Because we mustn't forget Dennis Law, because Dennis Law was the predator in and around the penalty spot and 6-yard box. Anything that broke loose, bang, it was in the back of the net. That was Dennis.
Very fast.
Great header of the ball as well, fantastic. But getting back to what you said about Matt, I mean, what did he say? What did he want you to do? He didn't say anything.
Just
Go out and enjoy yourself. Actually, he let you use your talent.
express yourself.
Express yourself.
That is really good.
I mean,
that is what it should be like.
Obviously, there were certain times where he would say to somebody, "Yes, I need you to watch so and so. Don't let him do what this or do that." Defensively,
Right.
but attacking wise, he never put any restriction on any of us.
That's brilliant. He was such a brilliant manager.
And if you look back now, over. I mean, what Fergie done? What Sir Matt did? You're never going to get another Sir Matt Busby.
No.
And what
They come
Sir
once in
Alex
a
did?
lifetime.
And what Sir Alex did? You're never going to get another Sir Alex Ferguson.
Once in a lifetime.
You know, and the problem I still feel now with the supporters of Manchester United, they're not getting what they got from Alex, they got from Sir Matt. You know, that's the issue, but you can't do anything about it because you're never going to get managers who can do that. You're never going to get another
Don't
class.
stay that long anymore.
No, they won't do. But you're never going to get a class of 92 again.
No. There's certain things that come once in a while. Look at you when you went there.
Yeah.
First season, league title. Second season, European Cup. There's certain things that just come once in a while.
But the game's changed.
It has changed.
It's changed. Don't forget back then.
You have played 42 games a season, not 38.
That's right.
Wow.
But we were all British.
Yes.
Apart from a couple of Southern Irish players, but other than the British, basically. But now, how many English or British players are playing?
You can count them on one hand.
Well, there you go.
If at all, you can even make 5 fingers out.
Well, exactly. So that's how much the game's changed, and we have to look on it and say, well, there's nothing we can do anymore about that.
Eusebio, take you back to Eusebio, that deadly predator. How deadly was he? Was he feared in Europe? Was he like?
Oh yeah, he was feared. I mean, even in the final, in the first half, which wasn't a great first half, there was a lot of hard tackles went in.
I saw some footage. So really, that you can't allow to take it on today.
Well, I mean, it would have probably been 4-a-side at half time.
Red cards. Those tackles were brutal.
But he had a shot in the first half, and he just went on a bit of a run, and he went to the right, well, to my left side of the 18-yard box, and he hit this ball with hardly any backlift.
Wow.
And it hammered against, it went to my right up, and it hit the crossbar, and if I'm not mistaken, it hit the bar with so much power that it nearly cleared the 18-yard box as it came out.
So much, he hit it with so much ferocity.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. But that was his forte. You know, Bobby could do the same.
Right,
Bobby
was
could do
your
the same.
version.
He could score goals from that distance as well.
Right. So you had won the league title, won the European Cup. Was it easy then defending European Cups, like going back in? So you had to win the league again to go back in?
No, you didn't, because if you won it, you're automatically playing.
Right.
So The other teams had to win their league, but because you're the champion, you were allowed back in. So, but we got to the semi-final again. But
how was it? Was that energy still there, ready to go again?
The energy was there, but I think it's like a lot of things in certain games, in big games, you have to rely on, good judgment, a bit of luck.
Definitely.
But we didn't have it. We scored a goal that went over the line, but it was disallowed. It didn't. It wasn't disallowed. It was disallowed, but it didn't count. That would have kept us in with a chance of winning in the semi-final, but we lost it to Milan, and that was it basically. And I think that was when Matt said, "Now it's time for me to move upstairs."
Oh wow!
And then became really, in all due respect, we had to wait another 26 years to win the...
Yeah, that became such a big thing whereby United hadn't won it for 26 years. It was just... I grew up hearing the same thing over and over. But then, there were so many changes from that 60s to the 70s. Tell me what happened during that patch, whereby United were going through this bad spell or...
Well, it's quite simple in respect to him that... I played under 5 managers.
5 managers?
5 managers at Manchester.
Don't get that a lot these days.
No. Well, you are getting it now because you think about Alex Ferguson.
They've changed.
Alex Ferguson. Anybody who was with Alex Ferguson, then they've had David Moyes, then they've had Van Gaal, and now they've
Valencia
got
and Young.
Well, there you go. You see, so
they're
coming up to the same eye level.
But you still hold the record.
Yeah. But that's how it can happen because people come in to manage the club, they haven't got the experience of, and let's face it, when Matt went upstairs, who could beat his record? It took, basically it's got to be 20 years basically, I think, near enough for Sir Alex to come in. Alex come in and obviously do another 25 or 6 years.
Whew. It's not easy because during that spell, United was struggling. I think you got relegated in 74, came straight right back in 75. Yeah. You went to FA Cup final in 76, an offside goal. I've seen it again.
Well, yeah, it was. But that I just said it. You've got to have some little bit of luck. You've got to have. And actually, Bobby Stokes mishit it.
Yeah, I saw.
He mishit it, which beat me because what happened was I knew where he was going to put it, and if he'd have hit it as he should have done, I would have saved it. Right. But because I'd gone too early, the pace of the ball beat me and I couldn't get near it. I was on my way down instead of being up.
Do you feel you guys underestimated Southampton because they were the underdogs?
Well, they were the second division team, but then again, I remember being on the pitch before the game like you do, you go out at Wembley with your rose and your lapel and your suit on. And
nice atmosphere.
We had fair dues to Tommy Dock. He had this aura about him that a lot of young players, because you've got Stevie Copper, we've got Gordon Hill, Sammy McElroy, Stuart Pearson and Jimmy Greenhoff had come in and not against Southampton, but David McCreary and people like that. But anyway, the fact was, there was a bit of joy, there was a bit of laughing and joking about the team, Now, I was the oldest guy.
Right.
I had the more experience than anybody in that team. And I looked at Southampton, second division team. They had experience.
They did.
They had Peter Osgood.
Right.
They had Jim McCalliog. They had Peter Rodriguez. They had Mick Shannon.
Mick Shannon, I remember.
Right? But these were all internationals.
Right.
So really, they weren't, not really,
Just because they were in second division, they still were a very good team.
They were a very good team. And it's a one-off game.
Yes, at Wembley. Anyone could win.
Anyone can win. And because we went close, we hit the bar, but one of those days it didn't happen. So now, as the position I am now, what I was like, I was, 36, 37?
Right.
I thought my chance of my treble medal had gone.
Right. Because you had got the league, the European Cup.
That's right.
And you did the FA Cup.
And it was devastating for me, but fair dues to Tommy Docherty. We didn't see eye to eye on many occasions, but he did say that
You guys will be back.
we'll come back next year.
And
we
you guys did.
And we did. And we came back against all the odds. Well, we were the underdogs.
That was the sort because you did meet Leeds in the semi-finals.
We played Leeds.
Another crunching battle that game was.
Well, actually, I mean, I didn't realise it because we were winning 2-0.
Yes.
And quite comfortable, really. And a ball was played, I think Treble played a ball down the line towards our 18-yard box. And Jimmy Nicholl went with Big Joe Jordan, who was an angry man. And Joe Jordan actually elbowed
him.
Jimmy Nicholl. But the referee gave a penalty.
Oh wow.
Which Alan Clark scored. I nearly got it, but brought them back in. But we got through. We beat Leeds.
Now you are meeting Liverpool.
And we're meeting Liverpool.
Sure.
Now we're the underdogs.
Because they were on such a roll, because they had done so well in the mid 70s under Bill Shankly.
Yeah.
Now you are meeting them, and United were the underdogs, which was it was bizarre.
Which was the reverse of the year before.
Yes. So you had gone back you've gone back to Wembley after missing out in 76. You've gone back there, but you now had to meet Liverpool, who were on the verge of the treble.
Exactly.
And did Tommy tell you guys stop the treble or just go?
No, because they hadn't won it. Because they were planning their first European Cup final on the following Wednesday. So they'd won the league.
Yes.
They're in the FA Cup final, and they're in their very first European Cup final. But when you come down to a final at Wembley,
one game,
it's about yourself. It's about your team. And I think, to be honest, and I'll be very honest about it, what happened, the heartbreak of the year before,
spurred you
helped.
guys on. Right. You didn't want to do this again.
Well, individually, I mean, I can't speak for all the other lads, but I speak myself. I've got to win this now. I've got a second chance. At my age, but these lads have been hurt badly, and fair dues, we actually played very well against.
Yeah, I saw. I think Liverpool were kind of surprised the way you guys came at them.
That's right.
And you guys really went out for them.
But then we come back to, I mean, okay, it's 1-1,
Yes.
and the winning goal we scored.
It was quite
we had that bit
bizarre.
of luck. We had that luck.
Luckily you missed that in 76.
Because Lou Macari had a shot around the 18-yard box, and I can tell you now, it was probably going in the crowd.
It was going wide.
But it hit Jimmy Greenoff on his chest and diverted the ball between Phil Neal and Ray Clemens and spun round them both and finished up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Now you win the game on something like that, which the season before, like you said, the goal was probably offside, but okay, we got our just reward.
That's reward. So you had now got your free collections now.
Yes.
You got everything. After that game at Wembley, I saw the pictures, which we'll go through later on, of the celebration. Because winning the FA Cup then those days was something. It was a masterpiece winning the FA Cup.
Well, people always say to me, I mean, what was your biggest achievement? What was the best thing that happened to you playing in football? And I've got to say, as a kid in the 50s, when I used to kick a tennis ball up against the wall at the back of in the street where I lived in South London, and playing on your common with your coach down and I'm in goal, I'm dreaming that I'm going to win the FA Cup at Wembley. I'm going to play for England at Wembley. And okay, you're dreaming, but my dream came true.
It came true.
How lucky is that?
No. So you've got the league title, you've got the European Cup, you've got the FA Cup. So now you had Man United had defeated Liverpool, stopped them winning the treble. At this stage now, where was Man United heading to?
Well, unbelievable. Manchester United sacked Tommy Docherty.
I saw that. That was like, okay.
So now I'm on my fifth manager.
Oh goodness! You must have been thinking,
well, what's going on here? Because Dave Sexton became manager, and I'll be honest about it. I knew that I had a couple of years left. Basically, and that was my contract, and I knew I wasn't going to get another one because for the simple reason that my age and things like that. But being a goalkeeper, you could go on for another couple of years.
I mean, even those days, Dino Zoff in '82, he went up to 40.
So what happened basically was I played the next 2 years. We played in the Cup Winners' Cup. We beat Senetian in the first round, but we got beat by Porto in the second round. We got beat hammered 4-0 away, but we won 5-2 at home. But we were out, and that was probably my last appearance in Europe. And Dave Sexton was trying to build another team, which was fine, and it was time for me to move on. And luckily for me, I had 2 years. The NASL was taking off here in the US, and I went down the road there in Texas to Dallas.
When you left United, did you think of playing in any other team within England, or you just
No, I didn't, Tim, for the simple reason that I played in every division. With Millwall, I played in the 4th and the 3rd. I played, ironically, in the 2nd with Manchester United, and won the 1st division with Manchester United.
So that's another honour I forgot.
So I played in all 4 divisions, and I didn't really, at my stage in my career, at the end, I didn't really want to go down again.
Right. So
I wanted a new episode in my life, and at that time it was really taking off in America, here in the States, because great stars were coming, great players from Europe were coming over, great players from South America as well, and it was the most enjoyable time of my life. How lucky was I to finish my career in the next 2 seasons playing here in the States.
How competitive was it then when you came to America? I know the standard. How different was the standard? Was it very obvious or?
Yeah, no. It was very competitive. The only things that were different to what we were used to was the pitches, because most of them were AstroTurf.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember.
I mean, we played in Chicago. In Chicago, we would play at Wrigley Field. I mean, which is a baseball pitch, and the mound was still on the pitch. but we'd come to Houston and we'd play in the S.A.W.L.I.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was great fun. But
big crowds?
No. Well, big crowds in Dallas, no, because we played at Texas Stadium, and a 60,000 seater stadium was somewhere. We might get 4,000 or 5,000.
4 out of a 60,000 stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So everywhere was just empty?
Yeah, everywhere was empty,
wow.
And that because don't forget it was taken off. They were trying to promote soccer.
Right.
I mean, we had to have 3 American team players in the lineup. Out of the 5 substitutes, there had to be 3 Americans, because there's always had to be 3 Americans on the pitch. But we were teaching them.
Right.
We were teaching, which was great. Yet we could go to New York, which is obviously a very cosmopolitan place, full of Italians, Yugoslavs, the English, and you play in front of 80,000 in Giant Stadium.
Right.
So wherever we went, I mean, where there was that kind of people living, we got good crowds.
Nice. So when you finished your career in America, did you now think, what next? Did you think I'll go to coaching?
Well, I'd already done my
your badges
and everything, but it was very difficult to go back to England and get a job, because you can't walk into Manchester United if you haven't won.
I've just come back from America. I want a job.
You can't do that. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up. And unfortunately, in that era, that time, most of the clubs had managers who hadn't really won anything.
Right.
They'd done their coaching badges, and quite rightly so, but they wouldn't want someone to come in and help them out who've won things, because they would think their job's on the line.
Exactly.
So it was difficult. It was difficult.
Wow.
And, you had to take another road of your life to carry on, with your life. And I became a transport manager.
Okay.
I had a pub. That was the thing it was in those days.
Yeah, back in the day, a lot of players, when they retired, they owned a pub.
I had a pub, and I became a transport manager and done what I wanted to do. And then by chance, because in that time there wasn't goalkeeper coaches.
Yeah,
there was. They just started in the middle 90s, coming into the game, and a great friend of mine was Alan Moore.
Alan Ball. Oh wow.
Because we obviously we played, we were on England trips together, but we knew each other through being in the Northwest, etc.
Yeah.
When he was at Everton and Blackpool, and he was manager of Exeter City, and I was at a dinner with him, and I said, and I lived in Rochdale, and I just said to him, you know, who does your scouting for you? You know, I finish work at 1 o'clock every Saturday. In Rochdale, Huddersfield,
Yes.
Burnley, Preston. I said, there are all these teams in your league, and he said, we can't afford anybody. I said, I'll do it for nothing. I said, I finish at 1 o'clock. I can get there. I can go and I can scout for you and do things. And then within a year, he was manager of Southampton. Ironically, Southampton keeps coming out.
Right.
And he asked me, Laurie McNenemy actually phoned me and said, you know, Alan wants you to be chief scout for Southampton in the Premiership. So there I was doing in the Northwest, doing obviously United and City and Everton and Liverpool and Leeds, and that was it. And then out of the blue, Alan Ball becomes manager of Manchester City.
Do you go with him to Man City?
He phones me up and says, I want you as my goalkeeper coach.
Excellent.
So I'm now back in the game.
There you go.
And people said to me, you know, how was it when you went to Manchester City as a man? I said, well, it made no difference. I said, it's your job. I said, Joe Corrigan was goalkeeper coach at Liverpool.
Exactly.
Tony Coton, who was the City
goalkeeper,
was goalkeeper coach at Manchester United. So that was how it was. And so I'd done 6 years at City.
That's City. Nice. Right. We're not just going to look at the fans from some people have asked me to ask you certain questions. One person wants me to ask you, 1970, when you were in the England team.
Yeah.
How difficult was it? I mean, we all know Gordon Banks was, I think, everyone's favourite.
Yes.
Was it hard to break?
He was number one.
Right. Was it hard to break into that mould? To be England number one? Was it
yeah,
difficult
well, because in those days, like we were talking about Alf Ramsey before, I mean, Alf Ramsey, to win a cap, you had to earn it.
Oh, back in the day. It wasn't given like a candidate.
No, not like today. Not like today, no. I mean,
you had to earn it.
You had to earn it.
Wow.
And
at club level? As
in
achieve?
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got to do it week in, week out at club. And because he's watching it all the time. And what you're doing. And, I mean, I was sub for England 20 times. But I only won 1 full cap.
What?
Yeah, and that's how it was. But I was in Mexico in 1970 for the World Cup. I got in the squad, funny enough, with Gordon and Peter Bonetti.
People ask, how could Peter Bonetti be selected ahead of you
when
you were a better goalkeeper?
Well, yeah, it's easy to say that because the actual thing was, what Alf did, and there was a squad of 22 for the World Cup in Mexico.
Yes.
Gordon Banks was always going to be number one.
Yes.
And what Alf had done during the tournament was he would make us, me and Peter actually, substitute every other game.
Okay.
Okay?
Substitute? Not guaranteed coming on.
No. So just in case something ever happened. How often did anything happen?
Goalkeepers barely got injured back then.
They never really got injured. No, exactly. But you had to have a goalkeeper sub just in case. And that's what Alf did. And that was fine. We were fine about that. There was no problem. Gordon was a great goalkeeper. I mean,
right.
It was fantastic. But we got to the quarter-finals against West Germany. And we had to travel.
That was a game.
We had to travel from Guadalajara to Leon, which was across the desert. It was 100 degrees.
It was hot. You could see it.
The game was at midday.
Oh, jeez.
And we stayed in this little motel across the road from the pitch, the stadium, the night before. And I was rooming with Gordon. Right. Because, everyone got mixed up in those days to keep that sort of atmosphere going. Yeah. And I was rooming with Gordon, and we went down for breakfast, we went for a stroll, and we had to have a meeting with Alf at 10 o'clock. We went into this room that was vacated for us, and he named the team, and he named Gordon Banks, which was right. He was fine, and obviously it was Peter's turn to be sub. Simple as that, no problem. But what the actual thing was, FIFA had a rule that if you weren't involved, i.e. as a substitute or playing in the game, those who weren't playing were not allowed to be in the dressing room.
Really?
You had to go and sit in the stand and you have a ticket located to you and sit in the stand. That's how it was. So I know I'm not playing, I'm not involved. So I went back to my room, like Gordon had gone back to our room to get his boots, because you cleaned your own boots in those days.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You only had one pair of boots anyway. That was
one
it.
pair?
Well,
that was it.
That was it, every one of them. And because I got back to the room and I went to get my camera. Because I thought, well,
yeah, you're going to be in the stands. Might as well take pictures.
Camera. And I can hear him in the toilet. And eventually, and I looked at him. I said, "Look, I think no." He said, "I need a doctor."
Uh-oh.
So I got the doctor, and because he said he can't play, and they got Alf, and Alf said, "Right, okay, Peter will play. You are now sub." So I was sub for the West Germany. It was a bad game, but
well,
we're winning 2-0 at half
yeah.
time. We were coasting against West Germany, and things went wrong for Peter.
Everything went wrong.
And
my dad did the same thing. My dad keeps saying that. My dad was never a fan of Alf Ramsey.
No.
He never liked the way he dropped Jimmy Greaves.
Well, that's right.
He said when Gordon Banks was not going to make it, you should have gone in there.
But the team was already picked.
Yeah, exactly. He said
the team's already picked.
said the manager had the right to change it, but he still refused because he's so stubborn.
Well, there was no doubt about. There was no.
Because he had a nightmare.
Well, okay, but so did a certain goalkeeper a couple of weeks ago in Kiev for Liverpool.
Definitely. Yep. Another question they wanted to ask me was, what would you say would be the one game you played for United that was a really bad game that you could say, you know what, this was a nightmare for me? Is there one that sticks out for you?
Well, there's always going to be games where you're going to let yourself down and make a mistake because you're the last line of defence.
Last line of defence.
And that's what we're talking about. And a lot of people probably think me saying when Dennis Law backhilled the ball against me and said we were already down anyway. That I don't.
People say he sent United down.
But we didn't. We were already down.
We were already really down.
I would say the worst game I ever played for Manchester United was at Sheffield Wednesday. We got beat 5-4.
5-4.
And we were winning at one stage.
What were your defenders? It's not all your fault.
But then at the end of the day, we had to. You try and help everybody, but things didn't go right for me, so you accept it.
Right. Okay. Another question is, they're bringing back the gloves.
Yeah.
Most people said back in the day you didn't like to wear gloves, or you didn't wear gloves.
Very rarely.
Was there a reason you didn't want to, even though you had the opportunity to wear them?
Well, the fact was it all depends on the kind of pitch you're playing on, the weather. It had to be really, really raining hard and wet to put on some sort of glove to feel that you're okay. And sometimes you put gloves on and, they're only string and cotton. Once they got wet, they expanded. So I found it more probably better than to play and just put a bit of mud on my hands and take the ball more than anything.
No problem. Were the balls heavier back in the day than today's balls?
Of course it was. Of course they were a lot heavier, but there's no excuses. There's no excuses, and I don't think there's any excuses today because the ball's a lot lighter. Because you train with that ball every day of your life.
That's a good point.
So you should know what a ball does. As a goalkeeper, you should know what that ball does. That's
very important. The goalkeeper should know the kind of ball he's training with. So any excuse of lighter, heavier, that's the ball you're training with all the time.
That's right.
Okay. What was the hardest shot you received? What player had the hardest shot you've received?
Well, apart from the USA who won in the European Cup final, I think the most dangerous player with the hardest shot in those days was a guy called Peter Lorimer, who played for Leeds.
Leeds.
Yeah.
Could he hit them really hard?
Well, actually, in I think it was late 60s that there was the media tried to get some sort of momentum on who had the hardest shot in football. With that ball, don't forget.
Yeah, the heavier ball.
You know, and they had a competition.
They did?
I think and most people thought that it probably would be Bobby Charlton. You know,
because he could hit them.
Well, that's right. But actually, it turned out that there was a tie, and it was Peter Lorimer and David Hurd who played
for United.
They tied in the competition.
Oh, wow.
So they were the two hardest players, two players with the hardest shot.
Right. Another question I wanted to ask was like your most memorable game since you've won everything. What game you say you sit back and laugh like that was a beautiful game? You'll always treasure that game.
I can only go back. I mean, when you play near enough 800 games out your career, it's very difficult to pick one out. But you go back to your childhood. What was your dream? And I'd already said, you know, to win the FA Cup and to play for your country at Wembley. I think that one game, playing for England at Wembley, standing there, singing the national anthem against Sweden, was my most memorable thing of my life.
Well, that's very deep. Right, last question. This one says, when you were United's keeper, the season United were runners-up to City, how did that feel?
Yeah, that was 68, of course.
Yeah, because you had won in 67.
That's right. It was a time when we had an unbelievable home record.
I saw it was literally
coming
fantastic.
up to probably 10 games to go or something like that, and City beat us 3-1 at Old Trafford.
Was that the turning point?
That was a turning point, and I think it boosted their confidence to push on. I think they won the enough every game after that.
Right.
Whereas it gave a bit of more impetus to teams coming to Old Trafford, and that's what does sometimes happen. Well, they are not unbeatable. We can do something about it. We probably drew some matches as well,
Right.
Which
because it still was close at the end.
I think it was a couple of points.
Yeah, it was after 2
something
points.
like that, yeah.
So yeah, okay. Last one. Well, after you, which other United keeper would you say has been great for United? I mean, because you can see all the angles. Do they come up for the ball? Do they stay on the line too much?
No, I'll be very honest. I mean, I don't think there's anyone been better than Peter Schmeichel. The reason for me saying that is that he came as more of a novice, and he came in with the same sort of reputation as De Gea did when he first joined the club. He came as a young lad who was learning his trade, and within 8 years or whatever it was at Old Trafford, he became a great goalkeeper.
Yes.
So I would say Peter Schmeichel was probably, but on a par, I would also say Edwin van der Sar. But Edwin was already a ready-made goalkeeper.
Yes, before Schmeichel
That's
was.
right.
Yeah,
so
that's
I give it to Schmeichel, but really the two of those are absolutely, well, they both won the Champions League with United.
Exactly. When you see goalkeepers these days making mistakes, especially United keepers, what goes through your mind? I could have done better.
No, not really. No. The only thing I look at from a football goalkeeping point of view is when I see goalkeepers, not only at United but for other teams, how the way they play today, I'm not happy with. I can't believe goalkeepers. I think the coaching they get today is completely different to us.
Wow.
we always wanted to catch the ball. We took the ball, but players, goalkeepers today, they don't do that. They push the ball away. Well, if I had done that, I wouldn't be playing it. I wouldn't have been playing many games. Because the actual thing about it is, if you're safe, if your back four know that when that ball goes past them,
right,
there's a goalkeeper there that's going to hold the ball, take the ball, and start another attack,
right,
everything's fine. But they don't do that today.
right. Even with more technology, you would have thought it will even be better, but obviously it's not, because you see, there were better keepers back in the day than today's crop of black keepers.
But there's so many foreign goalkeepers today. You know, I mean that is an issue. But that's down to the clubs having managers who want foreign players coming in. That's up to them. But the issue of goalkeeping, I don't see many goalkeepers.
Speaking to Schmeichel did that a lot. Schmeichel did that a lot.
Well, yeah,
you did that a
that's
lot.
right. Organising.
Yes.
Organising, making players do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You're the puppeteer. You're the one
Yeah.
that's pulling the strings. So I don't see that anymore.
Goalkeepers are so quiet.
And I don't see goalkeepers today doing what we used to do, is working on angles. They stand more on the line. And don't commit players to do something with an angle, and I think that's why we've seen a lot more goals.
Right, Soccer as we like it, Manutd Edition. We have come to the end of our chat with Mr. Stepney. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Mr. Stepney, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you.